Alright everyone, we start off today with the new TDS theory. It's even more insane than most of the others have been. Of course, Donald Trump having Russian hookers peeing on the Obama's bed is right up there, but now the story goes, link in the description, archived of course, the story goes that one of the classified documents that Donald Trump held onto at the Mar-a-Lago pertained to Russiagate. So the declassified investigation into people that were claiming that he was working with the Russians. But that's not all. Our usual idiot, Mary Trump, actually, I think is Donald Trump's niece or something like that, she's got an even more expansive and elaborate theory. That theory goes that Donald Trump then sold that document to the Russians. Apparently it's unaccounted for. Well, I can think of some other possibilities. Number one, he never took the document, and it was misplaced. This does actually happen within government proceedings. Sometimes documents disappear. Maybe they didn't want the document to be accessible because their own internal investigation found more convoluted manners in which Donald Trump was being persecuted by the uniparty apparatus. Did we ever think of that? That would be beyond Mary Trump's intellectual capacity. I think she wrote a book or something like that. So going on the circuit, you know, the legacy media circuit, and being hyperbolic sort of makes sense. And that is sort of what's happening here. Is even weirder, though, because you've got a conspiracy about a conspiracy. Russiagate was a conspiracy theory. It was the conspiracy theory that Donald Trump was working with the Russians, that his campaign was tangibly linked to Moscow, and that he benefited from the Russian government's intrusion into the 2016 election. We know that that's not true. We know that that's bullshit. Now, though, a document about the bullshit is being used to generate even more bullshit. Again, supposedly Devious Don, he sold the document to the Russians, even though anyone could just FOIA it because it got declassified. Oh well. Anyway, I just thought that this was newsworthy because, again, as we go into the next election season, this ain't the only time that you're going to see this. I suspect there'll be, let's say the over and under is 4 more instances of new fantasies, conspiracy theories concocted by liberals or by TDS suffering rhinos like Mitt Romney. They already, they dipped their toes into this crap in 2015, so they've been wading deeper and deeper, and now they're fully swimming on the deep end. Once you've gone that far, even if you're exposed over and over as having lied with, again, the Steele dossier and Russiagate in general, the tax return nonsense, which, hey, there was no follow-through on that for a reason. Everyone seems to forget Rachel Maddow's moment where she proudly held up Donald's tax returns, showing that he wasn't actually lying at all. That was a real stinker. They disappeared that story from front-page coverage really quickly now, didn't they, once they were completely mocked. I'm seeing a lot of mockery of this too. And of course this concept is signed on by the same kind of intel officials that signed the original letter saying that Donald Trump was working with the Russians, the same intel officials and insiders and sometimes anonymous sources that said, yes, it's been confirmed, Hunter Biden's laptop never existed and is completely false. Well, I mean, they were wrong every single step of the way. On purpose. It was propaganda. The U.S. government investigated itself and found that it wasn't coercing corporate big tech sites in order to algorithmically demote or ban users for topical and legal political opinions, and because it's a disinfo narrative, even though much of that disinfo, again, retroactively is understood to be true. There's a pattern here. Each time, somebody dreams up some fantasy about Donald Trump having done something wrong. The legacy media runs with it and refuses to bother fact-checking it. Some intel official comes out and confirms it, and sometimes anonymously. And then months later, it's debunked. I suspect that this will be, by the way, before the general election. These are all Hail Marys. It's like, imagine you had a football team, but they only had one move. All they ever did was throw up Hail Marys. It becomes quite predictable towards the end, and they probably lose as a result of that. At the moment, looking at polling, none of this is affecting Trump. If anything, it seems to be helping him, because he can set up the narrative of being persecuted, and he can prove it. It's no longer just, Donald Trump is pounding his fists and crying like a baby, and it's sour grapes. No, I mean, we're seeing 4 different, unconstitutional litigations against the man at the same time, and they're still spewing this stuff. The other thing that mystifies me, though, It's actually confusing. These are supposedly people that are skilled in like psyops and shit like that, and yet they keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I mean, don't they know that this isn't actually going to gain any traction, and if it does, it'll result in mockery? At this point, I think that most of the population has become a little bit numb to fantastic claims about Donald Trump working with the Russians, working with the Chi-Coms, selling our state secrets, being, you know, just an utter disgusting scumbag. You would have to believe in the myth of one-dimensionality in order to believe the things at this point that are said about him. The other risk is if he does do something catastrophically wrong, you know, nobody will even believe him anymore. Part of the population wouldn't even believe them if they had like video footage of Donald Trump like urinating on the Lincoln statue. They'd say it was a deep fake. You run the risk of turning him into an automatic martyr or a folk hero of some sort, even if he did do something wrong. And if he gets convicted of any of the crimes that they're levying at him, especially if we get high-quality footage of Donald Trump being literally cuffed and dragged off to a jail cell or escorted back to the Mar-a-Lago for house arrest and being fitted with an ankle monitor, it'd be the greatest campaign pitch in history. I mean, the mugshot was good enough. Supposedly that was really going to hurt him. Oh, Donald's going to be humiliated. Yes, this can't go well for him. Again, 100 times now I've heard Donald is done this time. He's done because of the Steele dossier. He's done because of testimony from some whistleblower. He's done because of indictment number 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's done because of the expansion of a couple of those indictments. He's done because a former staffer doesn't like him, or Chris Christie says that he's disgusting. Over and fucking over again, it's become almost boringly formulaic, actually. Almost not even worth analyzing, except for the humor involved in it. It's sort of like, you remember after 2016, Hillary loses, and she's all sour grapes, and she blames the DNC, she blames female voters, ironically enough. Well, those pink hat wearers didn't turn out enough at the polls, and they ruined the whole thing. She did this like 2-3 dozen times. She did it over the better part of a year, and towards the end, it's like it just becomes pathetic. It was no longer even funny. Or Biden falling down or having some verbal gaffe. I don't even bother checking for that news anymore. Unless he literally takes a tumble down the Air Force One steps and breaks his legs or something like that. It's like, oh, okay. It's a day that ends with Y. Biden fell down or said something stupid or lost track of what he was saying and then did his shit-eating grin thing from Deliverance. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, Joe. This is even more insane than the other theories, though, because it's a double insanity. It's a double conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory about a conspiracy theory. It's conspiracyception at this point. They've completely run out of ammo. I'm McLovin' it, but I'm also running out of patience for even more funny stories. Like, can you make it, like, really over the top next time? Like, claim that Donald Trump was smoking crack with Hunter on the moon or something like that. He's got a secret crack-smoking lunar colony that was made by Sleazy P. Martini. That's what I want to hear. I want something that's straight out of the Weekly World News, not this grade B bullshit. Give me something juicier and funnier. That's about all. Peace out.